Dr. Grega, welcome to Ethos. Welcome to Farm Days. Thank you so much for the amazing talk you just gave. How did your journey into lifestyle medicine start? What's the why behind you being such a force in this?
Oh, such a great question. And first, I just want to say thank you. I love coming to Ethos. Ethos is one of my favorite places on the planet because it really is a place where people are supporting each other and helping on this healthy journey. And it doesn't matter where you're starting from. And that's one of the things I love about Ethos is it's just like very, very welcoming. So thank you for welcoming me today. I always love to be here. And I love to get up there and, give my spiel about why lifestyle medicine and why our habits are really what is the determiner of our destiny, not our DNA.
Good stuff. My 20-somethings at the end of a long day stayed and listened to the whole thing.
Whoa.
And they did not get up and leave until you were done, which is impressive. They don't do that for me, but for you,
I think that's
did.
the highest honor I could possibly go home with. I think that's amazing. So as far as my journey, I have to say I feel very fortunate. A lot of my lifestyle medicine colleagues have their own personal health journey that really either with a family member or themselves where they had a serious issue, and lifestyle medicine is what helped turn their health around. I'm fortunate that I didn't have a health issue myself, but as a family doc, I wanted to be a healer. That's why I went into medicine. Mm-hmm. And family medicine is this great profession where you can see all the way from babies up to elderly people. You get to know families. And so over time, I was getting close to families where I saw the trajectory of what was happening from the children to the parents to the grandparents, where chronic metabolic disease was just, it didn't seem like I could actually affect it. So I had patients that had type 2 diabetes, and I was trying to talk to them about what they were eating and their physical activity and things, but they were in general getting worse, needing more insulin or more medication to keep their blood sugar under control. I had patients who were going in for their second heart bypass, under the time that I knew them, and we were doing all the things that traditional medicine tells you to do, the beta blockers and the statins and we were doing all the medicine and they were still getting worse. And that for me was almost like how Dr. Weiss talks about a midlife crisis. I wasn't even midlife, I was still in my early 30s, but I was just like, I spent all this time to learn how to be a healer, and what I learned seems to just barely be slowing down the trajectory. It's treating the symptoms. They're maybe getting sick slower, but they're not really getting better. And then as a family doc, I was also seeing the kids, and that's what really flipped it for me, was seeing children getting worse and worse as far as like having issues with their weight, having higher blood pressure, cardiorespiratory fitness being really low, and they wouldn't even be able to run around like a gym without getting out of breath. And I'm a child of the 70s where we were outside running around all the time, and to see that these children were already so far on the path to having the same diseases that their parents and grandparents did really was the breaking point for me. So I started going back into the literature and trying to figure out what was I missing. And that's where I found Esselstyn and Ornish and Campbell and Barnard and all the people I was never taught about in medical school or in residency program. And I learned about how there was different populations in the world where heart disease was almost non-existent, and diabetes was, even in this country in the 1960s, type 2 diabetes was like only 1% of the population. And I started really digging into like what was the difference. And that's around the time that I stopped being a traditional, family medicine doctor and started working on the Kellen Foundation, as well as doing things with college health and now teaching medical students and residents. And that's around the time that I found lifestyle medicine and the American College of Lifestyle Medicine.
But now you truly are a doctor because you're a healer, which is what doctors are supposed to be. So good.
Thank you. Yes, and I feel a lot better. I have to say, I was going into the burnout thing that Ron Weiss talks about, but I work more now than I did then, but I feel so much more energized. I mean, I was working crazy hours then, but I wake up in the morning now and I'm excited about what I want to do. And I'm just thrilled to see the changes in the people that go through our programs, but also even like the kids that we teach in elementary school. Like I see how things are starting to shift and that we're dropping pebbles all over the place and the ripples are just going out there, because I don't want my grandkids to be growing up in a world where it's totally normal to have all this chronic disease in your early 30s. Yeah, actually, there was one study that really got to me at that time, which was an American Heart Association study that looked at kids and what was going on with their carotid arteries. And it showed that children that were overweight or who had high cholesterol had basically it's called the carota intima media thickness, but it's basically the hardening of the arteries in their neck. That was the same as a middle-aged adult, which would put these 11 to 13-year-olds at risk for stroke and heart attack in their 30s. And I was like, we have got to do something different. And I realized that what we have to do differently is basically change the culture and the social norms, because it didn't used to be this way. It hasn't been that many generations. And we just quickly went from a culture that kind of had some kind of wisdom and passed down through your family knowledge about how to live a healthy life for a long time and be happy and be a part of a community. And in just a couple of generations, we've gone to being sicker than almost anybody else in the world and really isolated, and we've lost a lot of that kind of generational wisdom about how to live a good life. And that's what I wanted to try to put back.
So give me the elevator pitch about the Kellen Foundation.
So Kellen Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that really focuses on the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, but we're also interested in spreading this information, throughout the world if we possibly can. Started in 2007, so we're going into our 18th year now, and the goal really is to take lifestyle medicine approaches out into the community where people live, work, play, pray, where they already are anyway. And there's currently now 4 pillars of Kellen Foundation, and we call it our Healthy Neighborhood Immersion Strategy. We started on different things as we began, but we realized you need the whole package to really make a difference in a community. So we go out into communities with these 4 different things. One is Kellen Schools, and that has to do with going into elementary schools, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, teaching about healthy lifestyles, and also the Garden as a Classroom program. So that has to do with growing their own real food, enjoying their own real food, getting their parents involved with the real food. We reach over 10,000 students a year in 43 different elementary schools, 9 different school districts now. So that is a great way to connect with the community and some of the role models, the teachers, the principals, plant the seeds, get the kids talking about what's a red, yellow, green food or what's a real food or those types of things. So Kellen Schools is a great way to connect with your community. We also had Kellen Kitchens, and Kellen Kitchens is culinary medicine. It's going out and helping people learn how to make food that's going to nourish their body, taste delicious, and be just as desirable and wonderful as the kind of standard American diet, helping them to shift their taste buds. So we go out and we go into the community for 6 to 8 week sessions. People cook with us. We eat together. It's very social. There's a whole discussion about how different people and different cuisines, different cultures, how to make the food something that not only do you want to eat, but your child and your aunt wants to eat when they come over for things.
Exactly.
So that's a huge piece. Then another piece is the Kellen Food Access piece, and that's the Eat Real Food mobile market. We take this very large 24-foot trailer that's refrigerated out into the areas that are kind of vulnerable neighborhoods that lack access to healthy, nutrient-dense food.
And that's kind of what you bring here when we do Ethos, right?
Yeah. We bring one of our 2 trailers. Different purpose. Yeah, but in a way, that's a really good point, because we have to make healthy food convenient and accessible. And so whether it's bringing it to a festival like this or a farm day event like this, or taking it into neighborhoods that don't have grocery stores, it's the same concept. Is how do you get healthy, nutrient-dense, delicious, wonderful food on a regular basis in an accessible, convenient, affordable way to people who maybe don't have access to it in any other way. And that's what we do. So we source from 13 local farmers, but we also source from produce vendors, because our goal is people should be able to come to that mobile market and get what they need to make their meals. So we have grains, we have whole grains, we have beans, we have nuts and seeds. We have usually about 70 different items of types of produce. So bananas are never going to grow in the Lehigh Valley, but we have them on the market. Same with avocados. And then we also have the prepared foods. So Chef Amanda's lifestyle medicine meals, the power bowls and the chilies and soups, because we're basically taking a page out of the same playbook that fast food does. Not everybody has time to cook all the time. Most of us don't. But if we can easily grab something that's going to be filling, delicious, make us feel good, we need that in the places that we already are, so that we're not ending up taking it out of a vending machine. And then the last pillar, or the last part of our Healthy Neighborhood Immersion Strategy, is actually the lifestyle medicine clinical piece, which is intensive therapeutic lifestyle change cohorts for people in the neighborhoods. So we go either to a community center, a church, a school, a self-insured employer, and have year-long sessions where first 3 months we see the patients every week or every 2 weeks, 2-hour sessions where we eat together, we have some education, we do some goal setting, and we spend that 3 months shifting habits. And then the next 9 months is all about maintaining and expanding those habits. And we have seen phenomenal champions grow, just like here at Ethos, how you guys have these amazing champions, because once people go through the process themselves and they feel so much better, they want to spread it. And that's why it's important to do it in the neighborhood.
Been there, yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. So let's speak about Ethos briefly. You've been incredible, your whole family has been incredibly generous with your time toward Ethos. Why Ethos? You alluded to it when we first started, but there's a lot of places in this space to donate your time. What makes you come back here and do it at Ethos? What's different? What's the secret sauce that Ethos has?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I would say it would start with the fact that I feel like Ron Weiss is my kindred spirit. We have been agitating and trying to change the medical paradigm together, individually, but supportive of each other for a long, long time now. And I've always been so inspired with what his vision is here for Ethos, where you actually put a healthcare facility, a doctor's office on a regenerative organic farm. I mean, that's just such a bodacious, huge goal that he came up with.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and it's phenomenal. And he has put his heart and soul, his family has put their heart and soul, Asha and the team have put their heart and soul, the farmers, Nora and everybody. And that's just so magical and amazingly attractive to want to spend time keeping that vision going, because there's really no other place that I know of like Ethos. And so I love the concept of what Ron is trying to do and what he's trying to build here. I've seen it over the years, how it's expanded into even farther things like farmer training and bringing on students from Rutgers and other medical students. I've sent some of my own family medicine and internal medicine residents here to learn from Ron, how his practice runs. And I just feel like this is such a special place in the lifestyle medicine ecosystem. I always feel good when I'm here. So, I mean, that's that's a positive too, right? It just feels good to be here. And I want to see this place thrive because I think Ron has such a great vision. And now he's brought on more of you wonderful people that can help him realize this vision. Because I can resonate with that, where as a dreamer, as somebody who's been agitating and advocating in lifestyle medicine for a long time, you can get so far on your own. You can start, you can light the spark. But you need the rest of the structure around you to be able to really leverage and expand. And I feel like Ethos is at that place, and I can't wait to see what it grows into.
What is one thing we haven't talked about that you want to share with the people that will watch this video?
I think it's that we have to focus on things like social norms and choice architecture around us. And what I mean by that is it is so easy to go through life kind of asleep or mesmerized or just not paying attention to how really unhealthy or damaging the habits that we just don't even think about. Yeah, we're just not even thinking about it. And it's not our fault. It's not a bad thing. It's just we look around us and say, well, everybody's doing this. And so and we seem to think oh, it's bad luck if I get sick. And sometimes it is. I mean, it's not like everybody had something that caused their disease, but I've started to say to people, if you live the standard American lifestyle, why would we be surprised that we get the standard American diseases? We're going to. And it's that waking up is what I want people to focus on. Look around, who's your tribe? They talk about allies and accomplices. And when you're trying to build your life so that you can live the longest, healthiest, happiest, most vital, purposeful life, you have to look at who are the people that are your allies and are helping you get pulled in the direction that you want to go, versus your accomplices, who are the ones who are kind of come on, you want the pizza, or, and I'm not saying pizza, never have pizza, but that concept of what are we going to do for the weekend? Oh, we're going to binge on Netflix and eat junky food. Or what are we going to do for the weekend? Oh, we're going to go out for a hike and then we're going to have a potluck. I know those are two very different visions, but my thing is I feel like most of us sleepwalk through a lot of our life.
Such a valid point, and maybe the wisdom to be able to see the difference between our allies and accomplices, because I know in my own personal journey we had some very, very dear friends who had historically been allies. And when we decided to change the way we eat, they became accomplices. They were like, you're not drinking wine anymore? You don't want to go out for sushi and, kind of have omakase? And we're like, no. And they were just like, wow, come on, just a little bit. And they went from being allies to accomplices.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want people, we had a little discussion about this with my lunch group that I was with, which is, there's just some people in our life, they're not going to change. And we shouldn't be wasting too much of our energy and our spirit to try to make them change, because then we're going to butt heads. Right. And if we can accept the fact that some people are not going to change, but that for us, just the thing is, stand in the light yourself and don't make it a struggle every time that you're with those people. And then you can still spend time with them, because, we don't want to not see our parents or our brother or our, and I'm not saying my parents or my brother, but in general, we don't want to cut people out of our lives. But to get to the point where you say, you know what, this is somebody who is probably not going to be helping me continue the path that I want to be on. So how can I surround myself as much as possible with people who will help me? And when I'm spending time with that person, just already have in my mind, let's not get into the discussion. I'm just going to say, hey, wouldn't it be great if instead of, for your example, instead of going out to the bar, wouldn't it be awesome if we play quates is something that we play in the Lehigh Valley. So couldn't we get together and have a fire pit and, play games, or so that the accomplices are not completely cut out of our life, but that we've reframed where we spend time with them.
Fantastic advice.
Are any of your children or twin grandbabies, are they being raised this way?
So I have two children. One is a daughter who's going to be 28, and my son is going to be 25 in another couple of days. And when they were young, when they were children, elementary school or younger, I had not learned this stuff yet. So I some of the things I am most regretful of is the food that I fed my children when I was in medical school and when I was in residency. So I just didn't know. And actually we didn't talk too much about what my children were doing. That made me also start to think, because it was mostly my patients that made me shift. But I noticed that my children were getting acne at a much younger age than you would expect. When they were they were 7, 9, things that we would not expect. And that also got me looking into diet, dairy, organic, and what's going, because I thought, this does not make sense to me with our family history. They shouldn't be having that. And so they started to shift probably in their middle school time. And now, though, again, they were not raised as a young child to eat this way, but I shifted when they were probably in late elementary school and middle school, and I didn't force them to eat what I was eating, but I encouraged them to try it. And my daughter actually, she's a foodie, so she actually shifted sooner than my son. But because I think we didn't force it on him, we got to a point where I would just say, this is what I'm making. If you would like to have it, I'd love for you to have this. If not, you'll have to make your own dinner, whatever that is. And sometimes he did, but a lot of times he ate what we were eating. And actually now he came and worked for 2 years as a scribe for Dr. Weiss. And I think that clicked the switch. I mean, he was already almost there with me, but it's different when you go and hang out with somebody else than when it's your mom, saying this stuff. So as far as the grandbabies, yeah, I think they will be raised this way, because now my children already feel this way in their 20s. It took me to my early 30s before I found the light on this thing.
Since this is probably the most protective way to reduce risk in chronic disease and all-cause mortality, don't you think it should be the default way to raise our children?
It absolutely should, yes.
Thank you so much for you and what your family do for this community, for Ethos specifically, and for the greater good. You've probably saved thousands of lives, or at least made them better. And after all, that's probably what you went to school for in the beginning. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure. And you know what? We got a lot of time left. So let's see where this takes us all over the next couple of decades. But thank you. It's always a pleasure.